Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brandon Shank, and welcome to the Brandon Shank Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Brandon Shank Podcast. As always, welcome my main man, Corey in the corner.
Here I am.
Hey, this is not on our regularly scheduled day.
I know, I'm sorry.
So Corey's going to be in the Caribbean next week.
Hey,
and
Bahamas.
Bahamas. And so we decided we had to do this one early. So it's before the weekend.
Yeah.
So we're about 5 days early.
Yeah.
About 5 to 6 days early. Because
sorry.
of that, we're not going to do scores, not doing highlights, we're not doing any chatter, because most likely by the time we talk about them, they're going to be over by a week.
If the world has ended,
we don't know about it.
It doesn't matter anyway.
Because we're 6 days. We're 6 days early. So we're coming in early.
This episode could be very prophetic, though.
They could be, and
saying.
I will tell you, this is a very special episode, which I will let you know about here very shortly. Very special.
I don't know whether to be excited or worried.
Oh, you're going to be excited.
Okay, good.
This is, in my opinion, probably apart from this is the most special episode we've ever shot.
Oh man, those are big words.
It's big words.
The most special.
This is a special episode, hands down.
All right.
And I would say the biggest for this reason that I'm about to tell you here.
I'm ready to dive in.
Yeah.
I mean, why wait?
Well, I'll tell you something that isn't going well in my house. My kids are home today, 2 of them.
Yeah.
So 2 of my 4 boys, they had fevers on and off, so they've been out of school for the last week and a half.
Yeah.
Like one was out of school for 2 days, one was out of school for 3 days. And you always keep them home the day after they get done with the fever just to make sure. We don't want to be those people, that send their kids back too early and the whole class gets it. So Kate and Riley, my oldest, didn't get sick. So Casey said, "Well, y'all didn't get sick, so you get a free day, just whenever you want it. Get a free hall pass, just to leave school and to come home."
Yeah.
So they are home today, and I went downstairs. "What are y'all doing?" And they're like, "Well, Mom told us we could just stay home." I was like, "Y'all are morons, go to school." So they're, I think, going outside. They have a fort in the woods with their 4-wheeler. They're out there building their stuff, and
free day.
Free day. I said,
Man.
"Well, whatever." I said, "Your mom has meetings this morning, and I'm going to be gone." They're like, "Yeah, Mom said just do his thing here." I mean, there's people working on people working on the house doing things like that. But the boys, they're family. Like my brother-in-law's there, so it's not like they're by themselves. But I was like, "Oh, well,
man,
do what you got to do."
How good is it? Why got like BP staring at me through a window?
It's weird. It's weird.
What a weirdo.
It's weird in here. We're here in this glass.
Does he
what
need
this
something?
is? The beginning of what's going to happen. We're going to have all kinds of people staring in these windows when they hear about what I'm about to tell you guys here.
You know what? Does he need in or something?
I don't know.
I don't care. He's just standing out there. He's probably texting me. He's just standing outside of the door right now.
So today when my boys, I said, "Man, why do y'all need a day off school?" They go, "We go 5 days a week." Like, welcome to life.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to life, young men. So I have heard all the rave, and I have a friend who recently I was sitting beside, and she has this pink Starbucks Stanley Cup.
Okay. It was one of those.
And I said, "Man, all the rave, huh?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "You're only allowed to get one at a time." They're going for like hundreds of dollars online.
It's crazy.
I'm completely confused as to this. So Stanley Cups got big because a car caught on fire and the Stanley Cup didn't, catch on fire, and the ice kept whatever.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me how fickle our society is. One car fire has changed an entire organization.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Also, we'll complain about the prices of everything else, but we'll spend $150 on a mug. So,
pink. It's status. A pink Stanley Cup, Starbucks Stanley Cup. It's status. Now, don't get me wrong. If you got one, good for you. Way to get your thing.
That's true.
Way to do your thing. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
But it's funny how much we are just sheep following each other.
Gotta have it.
Gotta have it, man.
Gotta have it.
Gotta have it.
Lemons off a cliff.
Hey, so today's special episode, we have a very special announcement. The first announcement is Corey's birthday is tomorrow, but that's not what's special. I mean, he's special.
You're listening to this, and my birthday's already passed. So
yeah, it is passed.
Yeah.
So Corey's birthday was last
Friday.
week.
If you didn't send me a happy birthday message, I will be upset. Actually,
send it now.
I won't, because I will be in the Bahamas. I will not get your text.
Yeah, just comment right here.
Listen, I felt like it was a perfect time. It was my birthday, and I can't use my phone. So I also released a new album.
Well, that's actually a special episode.
Oh, that's a special episode?
That's it.
Man, you're so nice.
Yeah, tell us about it.
You're so nice.
Tell us what's going on. So we have a very special EP that came out today.
3-song
Is it
EP.
came out today?
It's dropped on Spotify. Hopefully it'll be on Apple soon. Look, I'm kind of cheap, so I don't pay for the extra package in my distributor where you can like choose your release date. I'm just like, we'll just
Whenever you want to send it.
Whenever you want to get out there. So I have to like constantly check back. I'm like, and then I got a text message from my friend Chris Nilsson this morning. He's like, man, I'm loving the album. I was like, oh, I guess it's on Spotify. Yeah. So
when did you submit it?
I submitted it yesterday.
So tell us about it. What's it called?
It's called It Tears Me to My Seams. And so it's cool. I like to be a little creative. So the track list is the very first one.
Corey is the epitome, the very DNA of the source of creative. In case you don't know him, Corey is one of the most creative humans I've ever met.
So it's 3 songs.
He wears one shoe on, one shoe off when he writes music.
I have a process.
He has a process.
First song's called I'll Follow You. Second song is In My Valley. And the third song is Even When. And then the name of the album. So if you track the whole thing, it's I'll Follow You in My Valley, Even When It Tears Me to My Seams.
And that's only something that a crazy artist can do, something only God can inspire. So It Tears Me to My Seams is really an album of, that is it's a heart, flesh, and blood revelation of being in dark times that everybody's experienced, and many people may still be experiencing, and many people will experience. And really, the description of the album is something you want to encourage people, but a time you'd never want to go back to.
Yep, absolutely.
And so, explain that a little bit when you think about the concept of this album.
Yeah, and these 3 songs in particular, and the truth is I wrote more songs in that kind of chapter of my life, and I like to say chapter because I don't want to relive it as a season. So that's something my wife
It's not spring, summer, winter, or fall.
That's something my wife and I talk about a lot. It's a chapter of our life, not a season.
Maybe just an epilogue.
yeah, right. But no, they through a lot of pain, a lot of my second time through really suicidal depression, and really coming really close to that edge of honestly taking my own life, and coming back from that place, going through months and months and months and months of counseling, unpacking a lot of things, coming to a lot of self-realization about myself, and really learning who God is. Not even like, I mean, who God has become, but who he truly is. And, I had to tear down a lot of walls to get to that place. And so these songs were kind of birthed out of that chapter of my life. Just, I'll Follow You, the very first song, a lot of the beginning verses of that song is like, I don't know what to do. Like, it's a lot of like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do, but I'll follow you. Like, it's kind of this like plea of like, I don't know what else to do in this season. I don't know what's up. I don't know what's down. But I'll keep following you. And that kind of realization that then goes into, even in my valley. So I'm going to follow you in the midst of this valley. That's the second song, which is probably the most heartfelt. I had a line kind of in that chapter of my life that came to me, and it's, do I long to meet the healer more than I need healing? And that's kind of the whole concept of the second song, is whether or not I make it out of this, God, I just want to spend time with you, because that is the most important thing. So I'm going to keep following you. I'm going to keep moving, but as much as I'm praying for a miracle, as much as I'm praying that you would just take this away from me and do this, that, and the other, at the end of the day, spending time with you is more important than my own healing.
Or in that concept, that I love, is in order to get healing, it's not the healing you're searching for.
Yeah.
It's
Tim. Yeah, absolutely. And then the last song, Even When, is basically this just idea of, from the very beginning, God knew me, God loved me. And the truth is, I didn't really have to change to experience that love. It's just, even when I didn't know it, even when I didn't deserve it, whatever you want to say, it's like God knew me, he loved me, he called me, he set me apart, because he loved me first. Even before I loved him, he loved me. And when I got to kind of that mountaintop moment, getting out of kind of those valley moments of that chapter of my life, that was what I felt, is that you didn't have to do anything to earn this. You didn't have to strive. You didn't even have to get out of that valley for me to show you what this love looked like. And that was kind of the pinnacle of my healing, was who God became for me. We talked about this on another podcast. He became more like a biological father in the absence of my biological father. He became what love truly is. And now the love that I experience for the people around me, especially my kids and my wife, he kind of enveloped me in that love. And I know that's so simple to say, but I honestly, as a Christian now, since goodness, I claim, since young age, but really since the age of 17, when I really devoted myself to Christ, I've honestly never fully felt. And that's kind of the concept behind the last song. And so that's why it tears me to my seams. I really feel like it's been a chapter of my life where God ripped me apart with precision and for a reason and for a purpose, and kind of assembled me back together in kind of a new way. So,
well, I can tell you this. I can't speak on behalf of your dad, but if you were my son, I would be extremely proud, because I've watched you walk through life and fight for years.
Yeah.
This is an album that every album you write, I feel like, is a culmination of years and not just chapters.
Yeah.
Lots of chapters, maybe even books that are on the shelf.
Yeah.
Because I think people don't realize we write volumes. And I think that this is a volume that of pain and depression and suicide and things that I think anybody who listens to this, if you have people in your life that are struggling with depression, people in your life are struggling with anxiety, people in your life are struggling with any mental health or recovering from trauma, get them this album and let them know that it was written out of that pain, because there's a connectivity for people who have walked through depression and they listen to people. You can listen to a song and you can listen to a song written by somebody and you can resonate with the pain, but when you know that person is actually writing that song out of a dark depression and you're depressed, the words, they're different to you.
Yeah.
Here's a clip for In My Valley. For those of you, here's a little piece of it that here on the podcast, you hear it first.
Look at,
I got it right here.
Will I step into the break? Will my feet just keep on running? Do I desire for your presence in the midst of all the waiting? 'Cause right here and now, with all I desire, can I stand here in your presence without ever really asking? Could I break free from my demons if that's all that really matters?
You heard it here first on the Brandon Shank podcast. We'll be right back with you after a word from our sponsors. That's beautiful, man.
I appreciate it.
Can't wait to listen
Thank
to all
you.
of it. I can't wait to listen to it. No,
That
I don't.
song.
I don't get the freebies.
Yeah.
I don't even get the freebies from my guy right here.
No.
Got to wait. No,
You,
but I'm
you heard
excited.
it in process.
Yeah, I did.
You
hear it in
got the behind the scenes.
It's never
kinda
nothing
like-
amazes me anymore. I mean, it does. That's not true. Everything when these anytime an artist produces something that's from their spirit in such a depth, and not reciting a word, but they're singing something that's from them.
Yeah.
It's so powerful to me. And having a front row seat to your life and watching these songs play out before you sang them is what makes hearing them so confirmational from prophetic is what best way to put it.
Yeah.
Hearing you sing them on the other side, but knowing you wrote them in the middle is just a cool picture.
I remember that song in my valley sending a really, really like rough, just recorded off of my phone, like me playing guitar one night, recording it. I remember I was in a text thread with me, my wife, and your wife. I remember sending it, and I was like still bad. I was still really bad then. So that song in particular is, I mean, you talk about in the depths of that song out of any of the other songs on the album, gets me. So you picked the right one.
Well, I think you got to realize too, and for everybody listening, there are people in your life that can see the mountaintops when you're in the valley, and you have to just believe that what they're saying is true.
Yeah.
About your valley.
Yeah.
Because none of us, when you're in the valley, it's really hard to see the top of the mountains sometimes, depending on where you're at in that valley, because you can't look up. You can't find the right angle to see the mountains. Some valleys, they mask the mountains. I mean, that's the reality of it. But when you're in the mountains, you can always see the valley.
Yeah.
But when you're in the valleys, you can't always see it. You're trying to figure out, okay, where am I at? Like, which way do I have to walk to get to some open land here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's just really important for people to realize, like, there are people in mountains when you're in valleys that can see where you're at, and they can say, hey, just keep coming this way. Trust them.
Yeah.
Because I know all of us have been there as far as, excuse me, maybe not depression or suicidal thoughts, whatever, but I know my wife was instrumental in my life when I was walking through those things. And I just know there's so many people, gosh, we mask it. There's so many people with so much pain that I'm telling you right now, as you listen to this podcast, you're not alone. Listen to this album and let it speak to your depression. Let it speak to your heaviness. Let it speak to your confusion. Let it speak to your irrationality and inability to be happy right now. Let it speak to these things. It'll change your life. You know what I mean? So I'm excited about it, man.
Yeah, man.
Right here first.
Hey.
It tears me to my scenes. Corey Broadwater released it. That was on Spotify. I haven't seen it on iTunes yet.
Hopefully
I'm sure
soon. It says
but
it
it's
could
live
take
on Spotify,
a couple days.
which by the time you guys hear this, it'll be live on everything. It'll be live on iTunes and Spotify. Is there any other hosts or any other places that it's going to be sitting?
Everywhere. You name it, it's on everything. It's on YouTube. It's even on the little on Instagram and stuff like that. When you search for music, you want to tag it in your story or whatever, it's on all that stuff. So
Tag away.
yeah, man. It feels good to have it out. I told my wife this the other day. I can be such a perfectionist sometimes that I could have held on to those things for another year and kept working on them. But honestly, like, I think the timing of it is I wanted it released around the time of my birthday, which is cool. So that's happening. And then I'm like, I'm going to release it and then I'm going to go on a vacation.
It's great, man. You deserve it. It's your own release party.
It is. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I appreciate it.
You know, I think, and something we were talking about, that I just want to lay something out here for people. People don't understand God. And you were just alluding to this before we came on today.
Yeah.
We were having a conversation. And in my life, the most criticized things in my life are the things that God has given me that don't make sense to other people.
Yeah.
And I think people even listen to this are thinking, well, this dude, he had depression and he was suicidal and he had all this stuff. How is he where he's at? I think psychologists are necessary. I think medicine is necessary if that's what if that's where, you know, just like you would for kidney failure. I think all those things have a place. I really do. And I agree with them. I've been through that counseling and those things. But when people hear these songs, people don't understand God in our lives.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Yeah.
And something I will tell you, anytime you deal with darkness in your life or spiritual warfare, it always comes out in the form of childish things. For instance, there are people like, and I'll speak particularly from being a pastor, because these are things that people need to understand. There are things people will do in their life that jack their life up.
Yeah.
And somehow, some way, it gets turned on the people, the pastors or the church that we didn't support or we gave them bad advice. Or it's always as much weight as they can take off of them and project it to other people. Yeah. The childish things come out and it comes on you as a pastor. It's your fault. You've done something wrong. And being in this thing now, lead pastoring for 10 years, I'm still new at this. But the things, there's a lot I'm trying to figure out, but this is not one of them. Because Satan isn't that creative. Yeah. It takes the same form all the time. Mm-hmm. And people just don't understand God. Like, hey, realize you're in a fight And Satan is now trying to get you to turn against the very thing that can be health, your church, your pastors, the people around you.
Yeah.
And in your mind, it's right. Why? Because you're already living in deception.
Yeah.
This is what people don't get.
Yeah.
Like, God is not just something you serve. It is a real fight. There is real warfare. There is real trauma. There is real stuff going on. And I have seen it a million times, man. And I think, speaking specifically to your situation where you walked through, there was seasons where you just had to submit to the authority you sat under as pastors even and said, all right, I don't even love this, but this is we have to follow authority to help us get out of here.
Yeah.
I think people hear the word authority, they think like cops or judges. No, I'm talking about like people that are put there to help you. Mm-hmm. And maybe in our society that doesn't look like that because authority has been abused in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
By a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But I'm talking specifically to spiritual authority, and God puts people around us to help us. And like, if it wasn't for the people in my life that I know they're not necessarily my authorities, but they're like spiritual, they're guys in my life who are pastors that walk the road with me. Those guys have helped me through the darkest times of my life.
Yeah.
Like, they've helped me. They're like, bro, you got to do it this way. And I'm like, just don't know.
Yeah.
And I did it because I couldn't see it. You can't see the right answer when you're in those places because your heart's just not there.
Yeah.
That's where you have to follow. You're blind. That's why, he talks about blind guides leading the blind. Like, that's what the Pharisees were. Jesus says that. And I think we just can't be blind.
Yeah.
And when we are, and we're in depression or we're in those things where we just feel so overwhelmed, you have to let somebody lead you, even though you feel like you're being blindly led to something.
Yeah.
It's people don't understand the move of God.
Yeah.
Unless they've experienced it, and then nothing that God does they'll understand because they haven't. Well, I don't understand you because God hasn't moved in my life. Maybe because you won't let him, or because it's been so long you forgot what it's like. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I can tell you when God's moving in people's lives, and you see it, it's just so awesome to watch. Mm-hmm. It's like it's the best thing in the world, man. It's the best thing we get to do as pastors is watch people's lives go to a next place because they just trusted you in times where nothing made sense.
Yeah. I have a perfect example of this.
Let's hear it.
And it's one that I don't know that you and I have talked about it yet. And so this is fresh and raw right here on the podcast, or real, maybe not raw, but
it's a special episode.
That's true. It is. When I was going through my stuff, you and I, we had like butt head moments. That's not a play on words.
We're so childish sometimes.
Yeah, we are.
It's funny.
But you said something. You said, man, if you would let this church heal you, this church would heal you. And then I went through 7 months of counseling. And I'll be honest with you, it's a battle in your mind. It's a battle because that phrase stuck in my mind. And I'll be honest with you, I went through this path of emotions, and it wasn't until honestly recently that I feel like I've hit again that other mountaintop realization moment of that phrase that you said, because I'm going through counseling and stuff, and the truth is I'm like, I had all this anger coming out and all this like discomfort, and I was like, church didn't heal me. Like, I'm over here doing the hard work. I'm healing myself. What are you talking about? Like, me and God, we got this. Like, that's the attitude I had.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, it's kind of true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I had to put in a lot of work, a lot of effort. I had to unpack a lot of things, a lot of conversations with a counselor. It took me 7-8 months. And it's like, y'all didn't heal me. Like, I went and got healed. But when you get to the other side of that healing, you step back and realize, yeah, but what about all the people that stepped into your place when you needed to take time to heal? What about all the people that allowed you a space that the truth is, because of some of the things you did or some of the things you said, you probably shouldn't have had a job? Like, anywhere else, you probably would have been fired. Anywhere else, you would have, who knows? I had to look at myself and be like, bro, if you actually went through with what you did, you physically wouldn't be here. Mm. The church was a part of your healing because it gave you space to heal. Other people carried what you couldn't carry in that season of your life, and it gave you the time to go figure yourself out. And when I came to that perspective, you want to talk about like shutting up that voice inside of you that is petty and jealous and envious. And it was like God was just like, yeah, bro, like you always had to do the work. Like, don't have this prideful, self-centered attitude towards my church, my bride, when they are giving you the space in a place to heal. And that is the beauty, I think, of the church. It doesn't mean the church is going to do the work for you. Like, we get that wrong. Look, could God in an instant heal you? Could someone in the church come around and pray? Absolutely. I believe in those things. But God cares more about you. And after the fact, after you are healed, that staying in that place, learning the lessons that you need to learn, that you got to put in the work. You got to go put in the effort, put in the time, figure yourself out, unpack things that you need to unpack, process things. And the church is such a beautiful place to give you the space and the support to do that. But they are not going to be the people that just come around you and heal you.
Yeah.
Like, this is not how it works. Like, it's
such a good point, man. Do the work. Do the work. Hey, it's such a good point because people get mad at God because he ain't do this or that or this or that. What are you doing?
Yeah.
God is God. He is powerful.
He will long to meet the healer more than you need healing?
Come on, man. This is the word that people don't understand, man. They don't want to do the work. They want God to do the work, and then they want to get the credit.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're like, well, I don't need the church. It's like, you absolutely need the church. The bride of Christ. It's here to support you in ways that God is here in the physical through his church.
Yeah.
That's why the church exists. He is here in his manifestation, physical presence in the way that it can be, spiritually, physically, whatever, through the local church. So yeah, they stepped in, they did all those things to give you that space, but also the voices, the prayers, the support.
Yeah.
You had to do the hard work. But there was even transformation inside of you within the local church, because that was a huge, whether or not, that wasn't even something that came out till later for you. The church was a part of that problem, in that it was a mindset for you that you didn't even realize the power of the local church.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because it was, and this is what I'm trying to tell people. Listen, this is something else we talked about. I want this to be a clip. I'll tell you this. My wife and I just purchased a property over $1 million in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
Well over $1 million. Already, I know we had a huge party out there for our dream team, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's 9 acres. We've got a big house, farmhouse on it. It's got a pool house, got a detached garage my in-laws are moving into. We bought that property because my wife and I have made investments apart from this church. We had an inheritance, and that property is a byproduct of God's faithfulness.
Yeah. Yeah.
My wife and I have never made 6 figures pastoring this church. My wife has worked part-time for the last 4 or 5 years. And before that, didn't even work. I was a single income household until I think 2019 or 2018. Mm-hmm. She didn't make a dime for the first 6 years that she was a full-time kids pastor. Or the first couple years, she's a school teacher. She's educated, has a degree, didn't make a dime.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to take care of this church. My wife and I have never made that kind of money here. I don't have a secondary job. She doesn't have a secondary job. She makes a small part-time here at this church doing discipleship in Flourish Women's, and I am the lead pastor. We pastor this church together, but we have never made that kind of money.
Yeah.
That even if you wanted to see my finances, you could not make sense of what God just did in our life.
Yeah.
My point is, people will say, well, that's prosperity preaching. No, prosperity preaching is saying you give God 20, he gives you 200. Give this and God will give this. That's not my job to tell you that.
Yeah.
What this is Satan has used what God can do with faithfulness and turned it so that people don't want to give God anything because that's just prosperity preaching. No, prosperity preaching, there is a truth to the gospel. It's about prosperity.
Yeah.
But the heart of those things is wrong. So when people want to look and say, well, how could he afford that? Or how could he do this? People have no idea the sacrifices my wife and I have made over the last 10 years financially.
Yeah.
To get where we're at.
Yeah.
We don't have, everybody in Virginia Beach has Busch Garden season passes. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody goes there multiple times a year. Everybody has we didn't have water park season passes till last year. I know you're thinking, well, that's like first world problems. I get it, but you don't live here either, okay? So just chill out. It's like the community pool, the water park.
That's true.
My point is, we didn't do anything like that. We weren't going out to dinners. We weren't going on, we got RVs and trucks. Why? Because that's how we went on vacation.
Yeah.
And we could afford to do it with our kids. Or we went up to like Potomac Park Camp. The Assemblies of God has a camp for the kids to use, and they would offer to pastors in the off season. So we would go up and for free stay at a camp in a cabin with our kids. That's how we vacation, or we go see family for 10 years.
Yeah.
And we're in a position now where God did something that was supernatural to put us on this property. And I know people are like, well, how in the world do they afford? Not even people in our church, maybe legalistic people. How in the world? Well, first of all, it ain't none of your business how I afforded it. It's my money. I don't need to tell you anything.
Yeah.
Second of all, the amount of investment, my wife and I moved in, I'll tell you how we made it though, just because I want you to know. We moved from Hope Avenue. We had lived there 6 years. And we made $50,000 off that house, which isn't a ton, but it was good. It was an oceanfront. We took that $50,000 and put it into our next house.
Yeah.
We took a second mortgage out on that house. We took loans out. And we redid the house.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2.5 years, we made over $250,000 in that house.
Yeah.
That was our money. We stretched ourselves thin to make these payments on these loans because we were like, we're going to put money in this house and try to raise the value because we knew what it could do. And we did it.
Yeah.
So whenever we sold that house in 2.5 years, we made over $250,000 to go into the new property we're in.
Yep.
People want to know, where's this pastor getting his money? Let me tell you where I got my money. God led us to every investment we've ever made.
Yeah.
My wife and I, everything, we have never made that kind of money and still don't.
Yeah.
But God has made us extremely wealthy in ways that we'd never imagined for the sole reason that we were faithful with what he gave us.
Yep.
And what I'm trying to tell everybody listening is that take note. The problem isn't with the pastors and the churches and what they're getting paid. The problem was with people who are living lives that aren't content and they want to know why other people have what they don't. Because I'm sitting here telling you, there are most of the guys I hang with, I would say almost everybody makes more money than me. I got 4 kids.
Yeah.
Everybody, they can afford trucks and RVs. That's the only way we vacation. I got truck and RVs so I can go on vacation with my family.
Yeah.
You know, we can do it a lot. But it's what we love to do too. My boys are outdoor country kids. Like we listen to hip hop in our 2500, truck. That's kind of how we do it. My point is this: I'm revealing this to you because I preached outside of Palms Church. This message has traveled with me because I wanted people to see the goodness of God.
Yeah.
This fall when we closed on that house, the miracles that had to take place for us to close on it the day we closed on it, it was astronomical. We had 3 deals fall through, or the 2 deals fall through. The third one made it. I'm just telling you this because as we're listening to your album, and as we're talking about understanding God, people will look and project their insufficiencies, insecurities, and things that don't make sense on your life because they can't make sense of it in theirs.
Yeah.
That's not your problem. That's not your problem.
Yeah.
When people drive by my house, they're going to think, this he's loaded. If I showed you my finances over the last 12 years, it wouldn't make sense to you.
Yeah.
You'd be like, how do you get this from this? Only God.
Yeah.
You're saying, well, he's telling me to give all my money to the church. You had better believe I'm telling you to tithe to your local church. I'm not telling you to give all your money. I'm telling you, give what God asks. Because it's not about percentages, it's about generosity.
Yeah.
And my wife and I, we've always done that.
Yeah.
Even when we had nothing. Because if you can give when you have nothing, you'll give when you have a lot. Because you know that where your source is. Sometimes you're like, well, now it's a lot bigger number. But my point is this. People don't understand God in their own life, so you can't expect them to understand it in yours.
Yeah.
Like when I look at your story, honestly, this album is incredible. You're a phenomenal artist, man. Like you're gifted. God has done amazing things through you. He's going to reach a ton of people through you. He already is. Your music it reaches heartstrings. It changes lives. It is going to radically transform people. There will be people who will listen to this that will walk away from the things they're in. I know it because it's coming from such a deep spiritual place. But even in the depth of your creativity and artistry, it is almost impossible for you to put into music what God did.
Yeah.
Because as I look at you and I walked with you and I continue to walk, it's an honor for Casey and I to be a part of you and Lauren's life and your incredible boys, Maddox and Aiden. It's incredible. It's an incredible story. But having walked it, this music doesn't do it justice. And this music is phenomenal. And the reason I say that is because you have a stellar, incredible, uncanny ability to translate what happened into helping people understand and see the pain and to be able to chew on that and to, for lack of better words, regurgitate into something that's palpable for people to actually apply to their life. But having been there, and in my life, the things that I've walked through and the things that Casey and I have experienced, I feel like no matter how many messages I preach, how many blogs I write, how many podcasts I shoot, how many churches I preach at, nothing does justice to what God actually is. Because watching you walk through that, and not even being the first time,
Yeah.
But 2 out of the last 3-4 years, you've been in these tough times because you're working through this, right?
Yeah.
I feel like nothing does justice to what God actually, and I don't mean to take away from your story, because I just can't say enough how much of a miracle for all of us, all of our stories are.
Yeah.
But this is the piece that I don't know that I've ever heard. I can promise people that when they listen to this, you'll never get a more intimate, in-depth, close look to depression, mental health, darkness, valleys than you will through this album. I would absolutely say that with 100% confidence. But when you experience God, there's a place that our flesh and humanity just struggles to attain.
Yep.
I can't write enough eclectic, incredible messages and preach them. Like, because the goal of the messages is to get people to touch God.
Yeah.
Because that's when they see it.
Yeah.
And so obviously the goal of your music is the same. Me and Casey, when we bought our house, it wasn't like, look at us, we've been given to God and he's done this. No, God was saying, you know what he said to me? I'm going to bless generations through your life.
Yeah.
And he told us what to give to the church.
Yeah.
When we sold our house on Prodan. He told us out on a Monday. And it was double what I wanted to give.
Yeah.
And on Monday afternoon, my realtor calls and said the deal fell through. And I had a supernatural peace because God said, I'm going to give you the money. We got a deal the next day. And the difference in the deal was the money we decided to give to the church.
Yeah.
To the dollar.
Yeah.
Because God said, I will build my church. And so Casey and I have never seen Palm's church finances and our finances anything different.
Yeah.
If the church needed something, we would give it. Just cut the check if we had it.
Yeah.
Because it's the same to us. And so anytime, for me, people can't understand God's goodness.
Yeah.
Just can't. This may be a sermon here soon. I don't know. But it's just one of those things. It may be this weekend for all I know. It's just one of those things that people have to get this. I think God is showing me, like, I didn't want to share too much of the story this fall. I shared it when I preached this fall other places, but I feel like in our church, the timing had to be right. And maybe that's why it's coming out like this.
Yeah.
So I think with your album, hearing your story and seeing God, I just don't think people understand God. And I don't know how to get them there unless they're willing. And you said it best. Well, how's the church going to do it?
Yeah.
Well, if people aren't willing, they'll never see it.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, is how do we get people to that place? Well, share your testimonies. And I think your album's going to do that. It's your testimony, man.
Yeah. Shoot. Yeah. Yeah, dude. It so much. Because you hit the nail on the head where and this, maybe I think a lot of creatives probably feel this way, or a lot of people that are wired in such a way that something is never good enough, but it isn't. I don't even know if I'm making sense right now, where getting these songs out, I could bang my head up against the wall as much as I wanted. I wanted to be perfect, this, that, and the other, but I think that is almost the battle, is nothing is sufficient enough in my eyes to, put in a song or write on paper what God has done in my life. I mean, I was driving in here to staff meeting this Tuesday, and I told you guys, bawling my eyes out because I'm just remembering the fact that I almost killed myself a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago. And I'm here and I'm better than I've ever been.
It's not even close. You're a person you're the person that we always knew was there, but I never knew until this year.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, the joy and your confidence and your security in who you are and the way you love your kids and the way you see your wife, like, that person was masked. You were always an incredible human, but we always knew there's more in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. They don't feel like they are who they are because they're not living like that.
Yeah. And it's, nothing nothing compares. Nothing I will ever do compares to what God has done in my life. And you're right. I don't know how to describe that to people, but every single living person on this planet has that pathway in front of them. They do. because God loves them and God has a testimony for them. And he has but it like, I'm working on another song right now, and it's essentially about the whole fact that like all of that stuff, because truthfully, we're all the same when it comes to that. We all have stuff we're dealing with, we're processing, we're walking through that we need to learn and grow from. And God is sitting there like a loving heavenly Father trying to be all of those things for you, but he will walk you through a process. And I can guarantee you that it looks like pain, that the way you mend is through pain. And my wife and I we've adopted this phrasing that nothing changes if nothing changes. Like, again, I fully believe and have faith for God to miraculously do things in your life, and he will, but in a way that you are in partnership with him. Like, he's not just going to do it for you. God is he's not a puppet master. He's not this like just rub my rabbit's foot and hope that like everything is like God is like
rabbit's foot. I used to have one as a kid. They're really nasty when you think about them. It's like weird. It's got toenails on it.
They're very weird.
You're like, wow, who ever thought of this?
I don't know. And why is it lucky?
Gypsy in the corner over there was like casting curses on these things, and you got them on a 25-cent machine. Weird. Yeah. Looking back, like I would be like, why y'all like my kids had a rabbit's foot with toenails on it? You're nasty, dog. Did you have one?
No, I didn't have one.
I did. I was weird.
But
it was blue.
I don't know. And when you experience it, and I know in my life there's so much more yet to experience. Like God becomes so much more, and I'm so excited for him to continue to reveal himself in new ways to me. But you become so passionate about other people, and I think this is where I'm gonna like compliment you is I know that you and Casey are so passionate about people experiencing this in their life, that more passionate than a lot of other pastors I've come into contact with, about people you want people to experience God in this way because you've experienced them in that way. And I feel like the way you guys say things and deliver things, honestly, is so honest and truthful sometimes that it seems radical to people. It seems harsh. It seems like I can't believe a pastor would say that, because it's not candy coated. It's not. It comes from a place of like, this is what I experienced with you guys. Because there was a part of me when I walked through what I walked through, we had hard conversations where we were frustrated at one another. And I can now see that, sure, we're all human. We all, maybe we say things this way and we maybe should have said them this way, whatever. But cut through the core of it, you're passionate about people experiencing what God has for their life. I have since experienced those things. And then something clicks and it's all like, I am passionate about people experiencing God in this way. And it gets you to a place sometimes where you're frustrated because you can see it and you just want people to walk in that direction. Mm-hmm. But they don't know it yet. And so you have a level of empathy, you have a level of grace, but at the same time, you're in this back and forth place of like, I just want you to experience this, because there's such a freedom when you get to that place. But this is where I'm saying, but it comes through pain.
Yeah.
There is no other way that this stuff happens, because you have to go through pain. Like you have to, I don't know, man. Like, again, even in this space, I don't know how to accurately describe it, but I'm telling you, it doesn't just happen overnight, and it's not easy. Look in the Bible. Anyone that God used to do anything significant in their life, it was not easy.
Yep.
And I don't know where we've gotten this mindset in Christianity, and maybe it's a Western Christianity.
I think it's entitlement. I think it's entitlement. Like, God, you owe me for this. You owe me for all this.
I've felt that.
You need to fix this. Like, you're the one. where you win? Like, you need to do something, God.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like it is. You know,
bro, I've been leading worship since I was 14. And I experienced that so hard when I walked through this last depression of just like, I've been doing this since I was 14, God. You can't just heal me. You can't just make me better. I felt that deep. Yeah, dude. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's do this. Why don't you pray us out today, man?
Whew, okay.
This is your album, your day, your episode. Pray us out, man. And then, listen, jump on it. It tears me to my seams. Look it up, Corey Broadwater, everywhere that things are streaming. Give him a shout out. Plug him up.
All right. Let's pray. Man, this is new to me. Here we go. Heavenly Father, we thank you. God, we just thank you for who you are and God for what you do. God, and we know that how you do it is the best way possible, God. So I pray for every single individual right now who is listening to this podcast, who is watching wherever they are, wherever they might be, whatever place in time they may be, God, that they would just sense your presence right now so deeply, God, that they would just say, you know what, my arms are up, I'm fully surrendered to you, God, and it doesn't matter what it looks like, it doesn't matter what it sounds like, it doesn't matter what I need to do, I'm committed to you, I'll follow you even in the midst of my valley, God. That is my prayer, that is my hope for every single person. That whether they're in the valley or they're on a mountaintop right now, God, we know that you are good and your plans for us, God, are to bless us and to give us more than we can ever possibly dream, imagine, and think. We love you, and in your name we pray. Amen.
Hey, amen. Everywhere that it's streaming, it tears me to my seams. Corey Broadwater, Spotify, iTunes, all over the place. Hey, as always, like, subscribe, stay up to date with all the things that are going on. We got a lot of cool stuff coming down. Oakland, Maryland, we're coming for you. March 31st, we launch. Can't wait. Got the keys to the building. As always, this weekend, Palms, we'll see y'all 9:30 online, in person, or whenever you can get to us. We'll be there. We love y'all. We'll see you soon. Have a great week.